Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I think some of you may have already have started school this past week. If not, you're probably starting this coming up week. So I hope that has gone well. I know it's probably been a little bit different than what you're used to, but I hope everything's been going well for you guys. I know Sophie starts a new school this coming up Thursday, so it's going to be interesting at our house. And, she's going to school for a couple of days a week, then she's going to be home, and so trying to balance online and in person is going to be interesting. I know just as a parent, so as a student, can only imagine. So we love you guys. So this week we are starting a new lesson series about loving like Jesus. So if this is your first time ever watching one of these videos, you might be checking out this whole Jesus thing out, and this series will be an amazing opportunity for you to be exposed to God's love, but also just to learn, how you can love other people. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for we've been doing this for the next 3 weeks, as you kind of are all going to be exposed to this idea of loving the way that Jesus loved. So, first off, question for you. How many of you have a name? Like, everybody, right? We all have a name. That's obvious. But how many of you have some kind of nickname that someone else has given you? Like sometimes we're given a name by a friend or a family member that shows that they care about us, right? Or sometimes, sadly, it can be a name that's kind of made because people are mean and just being insulting to us. Well, the amazing thing about Jesus is that he gives each of us a name to show he cares for us. Often, the name he gives, it communicates what our purpose is going to be. So our main verse tonight actually comes from the book of John. This is John chapter 1, verse 42. And this says, "And he brought Simon to Jesus. When Jesus saw him, he said, 'You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas,' which is translated to Peter." So after Andrew, and this Andrew is when I talk about the beginning here, finally finds Jesus, he goes to get his brother Simon to take him to see Jesus. When he does this, Jesus looks at Simon intently. And this means that Jesus is looking at Simon with purpose and with authenticity. Have you ever met someone and while, they said, "It's good to meet you," you could just tell they weren't being sincere? Like it's usually said like, "Oh yeah, good to meet you. Okay." Me too. But Jesus isn't like that with Simon here. And he isn't like that with us either. When we first meet Jesus, he looks at us with purpose because he knows that we have a purpose in him. Which is the first point here. Jesus looks at you with purpose. Now, did you know that you have a purpose? We all have a purpose. We all have a purpose in this world, and we're all made by Christ for specific plans and opportunities to just spread his incredible love all over the world. We read in Jeremiah 29, verse 11, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you." This is the Lord's declaration. "Plans for your well-being, not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." So, I was reading about the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. For those of you who are wondering what that, have you ever seen the movie Miracle, where it's the 80 Olympic hockey team? Amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's really good. But so I was reading about it, and it says here, in February 1980, the U.S. Olympic hockey team slipped its foot into a glass slipper and walked away with a gold medal at Lake Placid, New York. Those collegians had shocked the world by upsetting the powerful Soviet team, and then they grabbed the championship from Finland while the crowd chanted USA. Before his team's victory over the Soviet Union, which advanced them to the finals, the coach of the U.S. hockey team told his players, "You are born to be a player. You are meant to be here at this time. This is your moment." See, the coach of that U.S. team was named Herb Brooks. They weren't projected to win this game, but that was according to the world standard. Coach Brooks, at this moment, looked at his athletes and said, just told them with his intention and purpose in his voice that he believed in them and he knew they could do it. That sounds a lot like Jesus. See, we are given a purpose by God to do good things. We may not know specifically what those things are, but we can trust that if we continue to live on a path that Christ has set before us, He will only just continue to reveal that purpose to us. When we give our lives to Christ, He lets us know that we can trust Him and that we have a future with Him and hope. When we rely fully on God, it's comforting to know that He knows our future. And as long as we trust Him through it all, then we know that everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be great, or at least good. When we trust in Him, we can live knowing that one day we will get to meet Him and we will live in heaven with Him. See, the awesome thing about Jesus is that He just wants to love you. In Ephesians chapter 1, Paul writes about how God adopted us into His family before we were even ever thought of by our parents and before the earth was even created. God has had you on His mind since the beginning of time, since the beginning of everything. He loves you more than anyone else can or ever will, which is why when we meet Him for the first time, He always looks at us with intent and purpose. He wants us to feel comfortable and to feel that we belong with Him. Even when we fall and fail and fall into sin, we still get to go to Jesus, and He still looks at us with purpose because He knows, who we are, and He wants us to feel His love. We get to belong because that's what God's love does. Jesus looks everyone in the eye with purpose and with love. So, our second thing, we are given a new identity in Christ. Let's look at verse 42 again to kind of get the full effect of the second part of that verse. So again, this is John 1, verse 42. And He brought Simon to Jesus. When Jesus saw him, He said, "You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas," which is translated to Peter. When Jesus looks intently at Simon, He tells him that his new name is Peter, which means rock or stone. Simon's new identity in Christ is Peter. When you look ahead at the book of Acts, Peter is the one that God uses to be the rock or the cornerstone of the church when it starts. This happens with many others in the Bible. Abraham's name means the father of many nations, which was given to him by God to communicate His purpose. Before the name change, his name was Abram, which means father. So he went from father to father of many nations. Because when he came to fully surrender his purpose over to God, God communicated His purpose through His new name. See, when we come to truly know God, He gives us a new name. He communicates that you are no longer who you once were. Your new name in Christ belongs in the new creation you are when you accept Christ. Look at what Paul writes in 2 Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 17. It says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, and see, the new has come." When you choose to belong to Christ, you're a new person, and your new life has begun. Isn't that it's pretty encouraging to think about? Even though we mess up so much and fall into sin, God gives us a new life and a new identity to live by. And that allows you to go to our third point, tell others the potential that you see in them. See, one of the most important, impactful things you can say to a person is the potential that you see in them. Think about a time when someone said that they believed in you. Maybe they saw you being a varsity baseball pitcher. So every day after school, those words from someone inspired you to practice your pitching to get even better. Or maybe someone said they saw the potential in your artwork to be popular and sell well, so you kept practicing at your artwork. Maybe they just thought you were great on stage and performing, or you're a great musician. Just anything. Imagine a time when you were told that someone believed in you. You worked harder at that. See, this communicates that you have value. Just as impactful as it is when Jesus says it to others, it is when you say it too. The next time you see that someone who, has the potential for something, let them know. Tell them. Let the singer that always stays back from the solos but has an incredible voice, let her know that she has a talent that could take her a long way. Or let that peer know that if he continues to run and practice hard, he can run track in college. Let your friend who plays guitar know that they could use their talent to play in the worship team, get involved in church, or just that they could use their talents and maybe someday be a worship pastor or something like that. Letting others know their potential shows that they have value and that they indeed can have a new identity in Christ. We are called to love and to love others. The best way to love others is to follow Christ's example. And if we do that, then we are set on the right path. Following the purpose and the path that Jesus has created for each one of us. So let that be kind of your homework for the week. And as I said, as you guys are starting school, you potentially be seeing more people, or if you're doing online school or staying at home, but either way, if you know someone who has great potential or great talent or great ability, tell them, push them further, because that's a great way to show them love. Jesus wants to push us to live to our potential, because our potential is something that was given to us by him. So just like that, we should be willing to tell people about their potential and to love on other people. So with that, I let you guys know, I think you're great. I know all of you have incredible potential to do great things for God, do great things for Jesus. And whether that's just talking to people about Jesus, do it. Get involved, do something. If you're walking through the halls this year, use that time to talk about Jesus. If you're in Zoom calls, find ways to share Jesus in that. If you're at home, find ways to share Jesus. But I encourage you all, share Jesus' love with those around you, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, your peers, anybody, your teachers especially. I know a lot of them are going to need it. They need that love from you. So I want you to know that I love you. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Giving you some heads up, there's no Wednesday night this coming up Wednesday, and we are not having our kickoff party. Instead, this week, expect a little surprise on your porch at some point. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk for a little bit. Love to see your faces. But if not, if I don't get a chance to see you, I expect something at your door sometime this week. And then next Wednesday, September 2nd, will be our first Wednesday night. We're gonna have something in person. We're also gonna have something online. If you're not comfortable coming, which is totally fine. But I look forward to having the chance to connect a little bit with you guys again. I love you. I hope to see you soon. Have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.